Okay, so Caraway Chronicles, we're back. I'm Brandon.
I'm Bree, and today is April 20th, 2025.
Easter
Resurrection
Sunday.
Sunday.
Or Easter. What?
Or Easter.
So today we have been arguing about the appropriate way to discuss relationships within dealing with our in-laws.
I wouldn't call it
So
arguing. Is this arguing?
I said discussing and why it
Let's
can be
be
tricky.
debating.
I don't want to be too generalized, and I don't want to overgeneralize the dynamics we deal with. And I don't want to dumb it down or not be realistic. So I want to make sure we do, get a little personal, but not so personal that it's, we're not talking negatively about anybody. So, okay, honey?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So we did do video this time because we have people who requested a video podcast. So this is our first attempt. So don't hate us if it's not great. We'll keep trying if this doesn't work out. So,
yeah.
Good, honey?
I'm good. I can hear you.
Okay. So, the personal stakes of in-laws and how they are tricky. So, babe, why don't you give us some dynamics that affect our marriage and our family life?
Well, I think when we first got married, we had to learn how to
do everything.
What's the word? but just how to navigate having in-laws and learning different personalities and what is the word? Is it not our family? Brandon, help me out. Family
dynamics.
I think this is a different word, but yeah, it's like not traditions, but like your system.
Methods.
That's the word I'm thinking of.
Family
system.
Okay.
Where Brandon has his family system, the way he does things. My family system was,
yeah, I'd say the way I was raised.
Right, like
our
from where he come from. Yeah,
and how you did your stuff.
And how
like I walked outside. You lived in the rock. Come out. What?
Yeah, came out
Groundhog Day. See if it's 2 more weeks of winter, and go back in.
Go back. No, but seriously though, it makes me think of the plants that I need to buy. I'm sure
someone's gonna yell at me for saying I was being mean.
But the plants I need to buy, like
wrong plants.
I know, but like
okay, we're talking about something. In-laws. Honey.
Okay. Maybe I need some of those plants for this podcast. It is 420. No, but seriously,
420.
I didn't say that.
Are you sure you haven't had anything?
You're making me laugh.
Yes,
oh no. It's so embarrassing. Oh, I can feel my face. Okay, no. Okay, sorry.
All right, let's all right, so, all right, so there's I'm not cutting this. We're gonna do that once.
You're making me laugh so much.
You can mute your mic if you need to, honey. It'll be okay. Okay. So we're talking about our family systems, right? So like what we had to learn, and sadly, right, this was something we had to learn because I didn't have the common sense to think about it, and I don't think we had the grace to consider it with each other. Mm-hmm. So, but like she was saying, like we come from 2 different backgrounds, right? As white as we were backwards as could be. Yes, I can say that, Bree.
I'm like, did you see what I thought you said?
No, it's just saying, like we're all different, right?
Right.
And so in my family, we had a certain structure and order of how we did things. And in Bree's family, they had their own structure and order of how they did things, how they addressed conflict. That was different from the way my family addressed conflicts. Anything to jump in there with, honey?
Well, I'll get a little more in detail because I think that was like the biggest issue is when there is conflict. my family, we go to the person. Unless, I mean, some people ignore it, but in generally, you go to the person, you talk about your grievances politely, whatever. Where, how did your family do it, Raiden?
Well, say we had an order of handling things, and we did not veer off of that order. It was a little more patriarchal. Uh, in my family, if you had an issue, you could work it out with the person, but most likely you would go to the head of the family and, wow, Samson's being really loud. But you'd go to the head of the family and kind of trickle it down from there to see how they wanted you to handle the conflict. Uh, and essentially that worked until you and I realized that didn't work. And that was
Yeah.
just what we did.
Because,
Uh,
yeah, I think it caused learning that, because back then I was, how old was I? How old was I, like 15 years ago? 25? I was like
sure.
25 years old. So,
Hot blooded
yeah, just
temper.
definitely now I would, well, not just with me being older, I'm more educated on how to talk to people. And I didn't even realize me back then was just like, well, why are you talking to me? If so and so is the problem, why are you coming to tell me XYZ? Like, you're putting your nose in a business where it don't belong. Like, you know what I mean? That's just how I reacted,
Mm-hmm.
because to me, it's just bringing other people into it. So I think what I want to tell listeners out there, don't make the same mistakes like we did. Like, learn early on before you get married, before you get engaged,
So
early
you're,
on. Go
oh,
ahead.
sorry. Well, I was going to say, so this is geared towards everybody, but this is definitely geared towards that new married couple, um, who may be going, well, that's what I mean. It's geared for everybody. Everybody
Right.
should know
Yeah.
this, right? Like, scriptures say the husband and wife leave their father and mother, and they become their own family, right? Their own unit.
Yeah.
And I think we look past that. I don't think we really pay attention to the fact that what's really going on is you're establishing a new order, a new way of
Mhm.
doing things. We're gonna have those traditions and those things that we do just because we were raised that way, but you now need to figure out how you and your wife or you and your husband are going to do things on your own.
Yeah.
So,
And I think it took us a long time. I mean, it took us going to counseling and reading the scriptures and understanding what's that's going to look for us, and not make it. I know for me personally, it was, okay, this is my husband. We married, we are one. So I had to change my mindset of, oh, it's his family versus me, or,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, that's my mom. This, you know what I mean? This is him. And I also think, depending on what the situations were, and I'm going to bring up like the toilet paper.
Well,
um,
before you go into too much of that,
oh, okay.
I think part of it is before you're married, you're so used to going to your own parents for advice and for their take on how you should do something or handle something or just what's going on. But when you go to your parents for advice on your marriage, they're essentially going to give you advice on how they handle their marriage. And
Right.
that's not taking into account your husband and how he would see things, or it's not taking into account my wife and how she would see things. So we are then building conflict in our home by, one, we're letting our parents know too much information on what's going on in our own home,
Hmm.
which then gives them a biased view of, or an already biased view of, if you go to your parents saying, oh, we just had a fight, well, they didn't hear you come back and talk so much good about all the good stuff. They only hear the bad stuff. So they get this negative buildup. I think there's things like that we have to consider as well.
Yes.
But
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's
Because
why
then
marriage
they're going to look
counseling,
at, yeah,
yeah, I think that's why marriage counseling is good, is because it's a non-biased party who can kind of look at both sides, and they're directing you in your relationship and your marriage, not on how your parents did things or how your wife's family did things. You know, let me go.
no.
I gotta go shut the kids' doors real fast.
Oh,
You keep
okay.
talking.
Can I talk to blink Brandon? Um, so I think he's right in that, and I didn't even think about that. Like, I can't, go to my mom and say, yeah, Brandon this, Brandon that, or he's not doing this or he's not doing that, because then she's gonna kind of build a chip on her shoulder about Brandon. That it's just me venting. I guess that's a lot of it. We don't need to vent to our in-laws, or either I would even say brother-in-laws or sister-in-laws or aunt-in-laws. Like, I think you need to set up the boundaries, and sometimes it's hard. Like, there's sometimes where I'm just like, where, and I mean just venting, not like trash talking or anything like that, just like a healthy therapy session. But I don't think those people you don't need to talk to, even if you love them, you're close to them. Um, because then it just, I don't know, it just gets this brewing, this bad thoughts in their head. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
I mean, I think everybody goes through it, so they kind of have an idea. I would think, whether it's your
Yeah.
parents or someone else. All right, so let's talk about when we're in the trenches. Okay, so like whenever we're going through it, um, overcoming the life's tough seasons as a couple. Um,
With in-laws or
well,
just in
that's what
general?
I was looking at. I gave this. No, let's. I mean, it could be with in-laws.
Well, I really think we need to bring up, like I said, the toilet paper. I think that's
Sure.
something
Yeah, you're all about this
that,
toilet paper.
well,
It wasn't even
because,
2020. It wasn't even 2020. That's the bad part. Okay,
well, because I think, I mean,
bring
it
up the topic. Go
was,
ahead.
I mean, it was other stuff, not just toilet paper, but I mean, it was you. You're the one that had to, I don't know.
Okay, so yeah,
You weren't
okay.
receiving well,
Since you're
but
not,
did my parents
since you're not,
overstep? I don't
yes,
know.
yes, I absolutely did. Um, because in the tradition of my family, they overstepped, and therefore
Right.
my train of thought, my way of thinking, my perspective, right, is they completely overstepped. And in your perspective, it's like, oh, yeah, mom gave me this.
They're giving. Yeah, they're being so generous. They're, helping us out, because back then, oh my goodness, like we struggled like tremendously. We didn't have internet at one time. like we would
No,
go
I
to
remember with the Wi-Fi signal walking in the middle of my yard. You remember that? Whenever we
trying
were
to
like,
pick up
"Oh, do you have the signal there? Does the
fr-
neighbor have the guest Wi-Fi?"
seriously. And then we would have to go to McDonald's, and Brandon would hook up to McDonald's Wi-Fi to do school. Like, so this is when we were on hard times. And so my parents, my mom would go to Sam's and bring toilet paper, or I don't know, laundry detergent, just things to say, hey, I was out, I picked these up for you. No expectation of like paying it back, or
Yeah. So let me.
there was no exchange. Like, it was just legit. Here, let me help you.
Yeah. So is that something that happened a lot, like growing up, for you?
Well, my no, not at all, because not like toilet paper or gifts, because my grandparents didn't live local, like they couldn't do that.
Mm.
But with my other grandparents, I mean, they passed away when I was like 8th grade. They did a lot of things for us, like, I don't think like monetary, but they were just giving people, if that makes any sense. Like, they didn't like, we helped each other out I mean, I said I was like 10, I don't really remember, but they would reciprocate things back and forth. Just kind, nice gestures. And there was no strings attached, nothing like that. So, but
So
it caused conflict, not this crazy conflict in our family, but it was definitely conflict when Brandon, how did you react when my mom brought us things with no
Well,
strings attached, nice
okay.
gifts?
Well. I mean, let's discuss this, right? I mean, this. I think this is. You're right. This is a good segue for what we were talking about before. So, yeah. So your mom told me that I wasn't doing a good enough job as a husband or a father, and I couldn't provide the bare basic essentials for my family. And that's why she was bringing the toilet paper over, because I'm a man, and my perspective was I provide for the family, not my wife's parents. That's no, and it didn't matter what kind of hard times we were going on. It was a matter of this is my responsibility. I have to get this done, right? And we wouldn't be out of toilet paper, but like we might be on like the last roll and have to go get some later. Um, and that's happened where I kind of feel like you've talked to your mom before and be like, yeah, we're on our last roll of toilet paper. I gotta go to the store later. And then your mom's like, oh, I can go get that. And, okay, like, and honest to God, like she's the godsend, right? Best mother-in-law I've ever had. Um, okay, the other one wasn't terrible, but by all means, Bree's mom is a saint, and it has really helped us out tons. Her and her dad. But it's just one of those things where it was not acceptable for something like that to occur in my family, right? Like it was not okay, and the way I was raised, that was really disrespectful. There was no discussion ahead of time. It was no, hey, I'd like to help you out. I see you're kind of struggling here or anything like that. That's what I was expecting if somebody was going to do something like that. Um, and it's almost like where these preconceived notions come from. I don't even know sometimes. But that's the buildup that goes through my brain. And I had a really hard time with it. And, I'd say a lot of that is obviously pride, right? I think we see a lot of pride in that kind of behavior and processing. So, like that's where I went with it. Honey.
And I was just like, oh, my mom, look what she did. Like, I was so excited. Like, oh, this is such a blessing. Thank you, mom. And then,
I can wipe my butt.
and Brandon just like over here, I can't
Brooding.
believe your mom did that. I can't believe your mom, blah, blah, blah. And then so we would be like, that would cause conflicts because I was like so happy. And I know in his heart somewhere he was happy about it. Um
Some
somewhere.
deep down
But
on that
it
side of my heart that hadn't opened up yet.
right, but fast forward, look, we've grown. We he can accept things now because if I recall right, strings were attached. Oh, we're going to have to owe her. We're going to do
Yeah.
this. Like
Oh
it
yeah. Well,
was
yeah, and I'll say that was the other half of it for me was, in my family, you didn't do something for somebody without expectation. And it's not that every time you did something for someone, you were to expect something back, but it was just kind of, it's just kind of in the work of
like an
how things progress. Yeah, it's
unspoken.
like unspoken. It's like, hey, I did this for you. Why aren't you doing that back for me? When something else comes up. And so I felt like I was going into your mom's debt,
Right.
and okay, so here we are already struggling financially, but now I'm morally in her debt. And so now I have two debts on me, and I don't like having debts, period. So it was really bothersome to, whenever I feel like I have to have a clear conscience at all times, to be in someone's moral debt. I really felt when I didn't even ask for it, I was being kind of stabbed in the back. And I mean, hindsight, right? Looking back, no, I was a prideful young man, who was still growing up to be a man. But in those moments, yeah, I was outraged, and yeah, it caused us issues along with 100 other things that we had to learn how to work through in the early years of our marriage that were already hard enough.
And
So
Hard enough, yeah. And I think what I should have done back then, like you're kind of reflecting, is I never told my mom, hey, if you want to do this next time, talk to me first so I can talk to Brandon. I did that eventually, but it took me a while. I'd be like, no, mom, come on, bring him over. And kind of like hid it from him, where I would just make sure when she dropped it off, like he wasn't home. That's not good, because I really
darn.
appreciate, and it's like kind of like my mom's gift giving. Like that's something, like she gets satisfaction from helping us. But I remember she would just bring it over when he when he was at home. But that's not good. But like, I'm like, we really need this. I appreciate it. Thank you, mom. And then Brandon's like, where did all this come from? I'm like, oh,
Open up my pantry and be like, where'd that cereal come from?
yeah,
I'm eating it. Dang it.
So I could have definitely put up that boundary sooner and said, hey, mom, let me talk to Brandon, make sure he's comfortable with it. I mean, all's worked out good, but it would have just caused, I think, a lot less conflict in general. And I shouldn't have, like I said, venting to my mom about things that, I shouldn't. I love my mom. We talk every single day, multiple times a day. But, sometimes I just have to zip it. I don't need to talk about it. Yeah. So.
Kids made it to Buc-ee's.
Oh, nice.
Just saying.
My
All right. So I think that was a good little capsule on that.
Just.
I do want to move into another category.
Uh-oh.
She thought I was you responding back to her.
Oh.
That's funny. Skylar texted me, hey, what do you want? I said cookie dough bites. She's like, is this mom?
I told her that's what I wanted. Okay, anyways, moving along. What did you want to?
Yes, parenting perspectives. So different approaches that we bring on parenting and how we found the middle ground. We don't have to go as in depth on this one, but yeah.
Like parenting styles, or how far? Well,
I think where we were starting at before, like shoes on your feet. How's that? Or socks on your feet. Does that click the bell better? So like, okay, so I could go to my mom's house and my kids could be barefoot running up to the door and go inside.
Yes.
No big deal. No one's even going to think a second thought about it. I go to my dad's house and it's going to be like, why don't they have shoes on their feet? You know what I mean?
Like their neglect. Yes.
And right. There's a difference in perspective there.
So that's something that, oh gosh. So some things I'm going to tell you from personal experience, you just appease because it's easier. My kids are 19 down to 4 years old. And when we go to Nana's, we try to make sure we don't have any stained clothes. We have our socks, matching socks.
Yes.
And shoes, even though you walk in the door and you have to take your shoes off. Mostly, I mean, it's not. But that's strictly why the socks enforced.
Have to match so that they don't.
Right, because they're going to see the socks, right?
Yeah.
And hair has to be done, because if not, you're going to hear the comments. And again, I'm not talking negative. This is nothing I don't say to my mom.
But you're failing as a mom if you don't brush your child's hair before they go to someone's house. And right. We're not talking about brushing their hair in the morning. We're talking about mid-afternoon, stopping by to say hi, and your kid's been playing at the park, and now you're coming inside without brushed hair. Like you're being presented to another person. You should be presenting yourself well, which I understand, but it's still, that's kind of like an old tradition, I think.
So I think it's where we just accept the comments, like, oh, let me go brush your hair. Like, it's fine. It's my mom, whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's harder for Brandon to deal with. I don't know. Maybe he lets it roll off his back now. I think he probably does. But there are times I've had to put my foot down and say, Mom, this is how it is. Or even in my own home, if the kids are just running around like when they're little, just in a diaper, we're not going anywhere. Where's their clothes? And I will say, well, Mom, we're home. This is our home. This is just, we're just hanging out today. Yeah, I don't care they're running around in a diaper because that's one less laundry I'm gonna have to do when they take their sleeve and
Yep,
wipe.
and the sprinkler outside in the front yard.
Right. Just doing whatever. So I think
No
that
big deal.
there's a lot of things that we just can let roll. You don't have to defend yourself. Um, and then other times, be more firm and say, hey, this really bothers me when XYZ, because sometimes the kids can pick up on things and sometimes the kids might think, but yeah, like going to Brandon's mom's house, they can be wearing a diaper and she'll be like, nice diaper. Like, I don't know.
Glad you have a diaper on.
I don't know. And that's fine too. Like, I don't know.
All
It was
right.
just a
So,
lot of things. Yeah, I guess
yeah,
we had
I
to
mean,
really learn. I thought, because I lived under the rock, that everyone was like me. And it's sad, I think, because, I was married before. And I didn't even learn that then. Like, I didn't learn until I met Brandon that people, like, go to the movies every day or, like, every week, more than once every 10 years. Like, there's just a lot of things that, like, I
we're
learned.
very mixed match when it comes to our culture.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well,
um,
accept our ancestry because we are so much like alike where we
that's
really
DNA.
come from.
I
Oh, our
think that's
DNA.
every white person is pretty much the same general English, kind of background. It's my own
Oh,
thoughts, but you do have a little more Italian than I definitely don't have. So,
yeah.
all right. So, honey,
My screen's blinking. Hold on.
your screen blinking. Oh, is it? That's I know what it is. It's that
It's your
dumb.
stupid. Can you see me?
Yeah, I see it's blinking too. Are you gonna stop that?
I don't know how. It
Just
just
move your
says it
mouse up to the
sometimes.
corner so whenever it pops up, you can turn it off real fast.
I don't know how to turn it off.
Oh,
I'm
you're
sorry,
killing
y'all.
me.
Okay, keep talking and I'll figure
Just
this out.
take your glasses off. You won't notice. No. What do you want? Go back to your room. You're fine.
Okay.
Go ahead. Hurry up.
Sorry, we just have a little technical difficulties.
Apparently.
Okay.
Jeez.
Okay.
Did you get
Sorry,
it
y'all.
now?
It finally went away.
All right. So, yeah, I think where you were at was basically saying like these were things that we didn't know about, right? Because we were both
Yeah.
married previously. We both didn't have these concepts in our minds. Maybe, I mean, I'm always going to say if I went or if I understood relationships better or communication better back then, there may have been more hope, I'd say, in each of our marriages that we had previously. But I think at that age, yeah, but I think we were just young and dumb and um, thought we knew enough and wanted to do what we wanted. I don't know. But we definitely didn't have the tools to be married, you know,
Right.
um,
And
which
that's, I
seems weird
think,
because I feel like you should, just automatically have some of that stuff spoken into your life growing up.
oh, yes. Like I think our children, and that's for another podcast. So here's a little preview for the next podcast, maybe. I think I just got an idea, B.
Beep.
I think it needs to be about how we are trying to educate our children and prepare them for marriage. We want, and friendships, marriage, just
Why do you have to
everything.
share a room? Because you have to share a room with your wife. You may
Right.
not like it.
like
You
there's
might be
just,
neat and she might be messy. I'm not saying that's personal experience. I'm just saying. Yeah.
and the sacrifice and just so much that goes into marriage that I think obviously a lot of it comes from learning of experience, but I want my kids to have that toolkit built up so they can have good tools through their journey in
Yep.
marriage. So
So, anyhow,
is that it for tonight? I don't know.
um,
think we're at
So
the
would you
29-minute.
recommend? Yeah, we'll call that the end of tonight. But do you have a book recommendation,
Of course,
like
Henry
are you going to
Dr.
offer a
Cloud.
resource,
Yes,
Doctor
Dr.
Cloud?
Henry Cloud.
Okay, what book is that? I,
Boundaries. There's
okay, well, I knew what it was, but they
uh,
didn't know what it was.
okay, there's boundaries in
There's
marriage,
like 5 of them.
boundaries and with kids, boundaries, just the boundaries books, the
Yeah,
whole series. It really teaches you how to put up healthy boundaries, and you can do it lovingly and kind. And other people might think it's an ultimatum saying, oh, you're not going to tell me what to do. Well, the ball's in their court. And I think as long as you're being reasonable and God honoring, and anyways, check the books out. They're really, really good. Um,
and then
yeah.
I'm going to recommend What Did You Expect from
Oh yes,
David
Paul
Tripp
David
or
Tripp.
Paul David Tripp. Yeah, Paul David
Oh,
Tripp.
there's like two brothers.
Well, I don't know if they're brothers, but Paul David
Yeah,
Tripp.
the Tripp
What Did You
brothers.
Expect? It's a marriage book. Um, you know, it has a Christian background, so it'll keep you, semi in that atmosphere, But yeah, so that's it. Anything
Yep.
else, honey?
Nope. I think that's it for tonight.
That's it for tonight.
So give
All
us
right.
some feedback,
Yeah,
kind feedback. I love feedback, but I'm a little sensitive,
I'm
so
not. I take it as it is. So
I
I
won't
know
get
I
my
mean. I
feelings
know I
hurt
scrunch my face and look mad.
because he needs to wear his glasses.
Um, and then yeah, like, subscribe, share. Anything else, honey? The Caraway Chronicles. Tell everybody.
Yep.
We got a lot of
And
drama and baggage to bring
we
to the
have
table.
so much to say.
We can put
So
it out
much.
there.
One day
So
we're gonna write our book. So this is like a
this is
first a
pre-book.
preview.
Yeah, you're
Pre-book.
in
Yeah.
at the ground floor, right? This is where you start investing in us,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So we need to start on our page.
Yep.
So no, but yeah, we are going to write a book at some point. Timeline it, and yeah, because we've been through all kinds of craziness. So at least I think so. Do you think so, honey?
Oh yeah, crazy.
Well, before your final thought, because we have to end after that.
Oh
I'd say isn't part of the podcast is where love meets chaos, right?
yes.
Like it's where the crazy really takes root and you grow out of it. So we're just trees that are bending towards the light as we grow. So go ahead, honey. Sorry.
What was I gonna say?
Final thoughts with Bree.
Final thoughts with Bree is. Oh, I forgot. What was I saying?
Don't talk about marijuana in the beginning of a podcast. Just you'll start laughing.
Oh my gosh, I was so embarrassed. I know what it is. That I want to look at the positive. So when y'all talk to us, we'll elaborate more. But those that know us personally know we've been through so much. So it's hard, but I'm thankful I have my children. I'm thankful for my husband. And there's a lot worse that could be out there. So I'm trying to be thankful and count it all like a blessing through all our crises. Oh,